Good afternoon, everyone. I want to call to order today's meeting of the Senate Committee on Legislative Operations and Elections. Madam Secretary, please call the roll.
Senator Daley. Here. Senator Cannizzaro. Senator Krasner. Here. Senator Steinbeck. Here. Chair Orenshaw.
Present. Madam Secretary, please mark the Majority Leader absent excused. A few general housekeeping reminders. I'd ask everyone to silence their electronic devices. If someone wishes to testify, please sign in at the table by the door. Provide a business card, if any, to the committee secretary. For those joining us online, please be sure to mute your microphone when you're not speaking to minimize any background noise. When testifying, please turn on the microphone and clearly state your name and affiliation, if any, for the record, then turn the microphone off each time you're done speaking. If you're going to bring paper handouts, we ask for 20 paper copies for members of the public. Electronic copies should have been submitted in PDF form to our committee manager 24 hours in advance of the committee hearing. Some of the issues we discuss in Senate legislative operations elections can be contentious, and we don't always agree, but we do expect courtesy and respect to all parties during our meetings, during our interactions. Committee members are using their laptops to view handouts and other documents. Please do not view this as a sign of disrespect or inattention. As a reminder, we may take agenda items out of order. Public comment will be taken at the end of the meeting. Each person will be limited to 2 minutes. I'd like to open the hearing on Assembly Bill 237, and very fortunate today we've got two of our colleagues from over in the Assembly, Assemblymember Gonzalez, Assemblymember Moore. Thank you so much for joining us. Appreciate you being here to present the bill.
Thank you, Chair Orenshaw and members of the committee. For the record, I am Cynthia Moore, CINTHIAMOORE, representing Assembly District 11 in Clark County. And today I'm joined by my colleague, Assemblymember Cecilia Gonzalez. We're here presenting AB 237 before you today. This bill authorizes any county to create the Office of Registrar of Voters. Assembly Bill 237 comes to this committee from the Joint Interim Standing Committee on Legislative Operations and Elections. During the 2023 through 2024 interim, the interim committee heard testimony from several county election officials about the challenges they face in administrating elections, and a common theme was high workloads, particularly for county clerks who are also the county recorder or treasurer and who have many other responsibilities besides elections. This committee also heard about the same workload challenges from several county clerks during the first week of session. Election administration is becoming more of a full-time job for smaller counties other than Clark and Washoe. However, these county clerks are not afforded the opportunity to focus solely on election administration. In Clark and Washoe counties, the county election official is a registrar of voters appointed by the Board of County Commissioners, whose only job is to administer elections. Clark and Washoe counties separately employ county clerks to provide marriage licenses, business services, and passport services, preserve and maintain county records, and serve as an ex officio clerk to the Board of County Commissioners and the district court within the county. In all other counties and Carson City, the election official is an elected county clerk who administers elections and handles all other clerk duties I just mentioned. In 7 counties, the clerk is additionally responsible for county treasurer duties, such as billing, collecting property taxes, reconciling county bank accounts, and overseeing county investment accounts. At one time, it may have been sufficient for only Clark and Washoe counties to have a full-time election administration position in the form of a registrar of voters, and to combine election administration with other clerk and treasurer duties in smaller counties. However, we are continuing to hear from our county clerks that multiple roles and responsibilities are testing their limits. This is not to say that they are unwilling to take on higher workloads. I want to commend all of our county clerks for what an excellent job they have done administrating elections over the past few years in the face of many new challenges and high workloads. Our election officials are extremely hardworking and very passionate about what they do, and for that, they deserve a very high praise. However, we should not continue to overburden our county clerks. Assembly Bill 237 seeks to alleviate high workloads for county clerks who are currently juggling multiple roles. And now I'll pass it on to my colleague.
Thank you very much. Welcome to Senate Legislative Operations Elections. Thank you for joining us.
Hello, thank you so much. My name is Assemblymember Cecilia Gonzalez, and I represent Assembly District 16. And I'm here to co-present Assembly Bill 237 because it was from the interim committee, and I sat on the interim committee. So I'm here to help my colleague, and we had some stakeholder meetings from since the hearing in our committee as well. So I'm just going to do a summary of the bill, and then we will take questions. Assembly Bill 237 authorizes but does not require the Board of County Commissioners of any county to create a Register of Voters position to administer county elections. Currently, state law authorizes only counties with a population of 100,000 or more, which would be Clark and Washoe, to create the Office of Register of Voters. Assembly Bill 237 removes the population threshold and instead allows any county, regardless of population, to establish the Office of Register of Voters. Again, the intent of this bill is to give counties the option to create full-time elections positions if they wish, but it does not require them to do so. If a Board of County Commissioners were to create an Office of Registers, the board would make an appointment to the office and prescribe the qualifications, duties, and compensations to the office. The bill does not eliminate the position of the county clerk, but instead shifts election responsibilities from the clerk to the Register of Voters, with one small exception, that the county clerk would still be responsible for preparing and delivering certifications of elections. Again, this is only permissive and enabling language. It does not require any county of commissioners to do so. And with that, we'll take questions.
Thank you very much. Members, any questions regarding the bill? Senator Daley.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Good to see you guys over here in the Senate. I had a bill presentation this morning in the Assembly, so things are happening. And maybe my question might be more for the Secretary of State on some of the stuff, because it's really the question over in existing language regarding that the county commissioners can prescribe the qualifications, don't have any issues, and then duties. So I don't know what's entailed in the duties, right? And I just want to make sure we have some idea of what it is, some parameters on it, and then, of course, the compensation. They can pay them what they decide to do. So my real question is just, what are the minimum duties? We don't want to have some county commissioners saying, hey, you got to do this. I know it hasn't been an issue in Washoe and Clark, but we also haven't had issues like we've had since 2016 either. So that's my concern there. And I see someone from the Secretary of State's here, and maybe because I think we just got to be careful on how wide open we might make that with the word duty, which is already there.
Thank you for the question, Senator. Mark Voloshin, Deputy Secretary of State for Elections, for the record. Through you, Chair. Okay, thank you. An excellent question, and one that, to be clear, again, I don't want to speak for the bill sponsors, of course. As you mentioned in NRS 293, it does equate very specifically the term registrar to clerk. And therefore, throughout Title 24, the duties of a clerk that do apply to a registrar, I think it assumes that same sort of process would apply in this sort of case. But again, one, don't want to speak for the sponsors. Two, it may be worth clarifying. Certainly something that we could talk about with the registrars in Clark and Washoe and their representatives, as well as, again, the sponsors, to see if it, for the sake of clarity going forward, because I think your point is very valid. If there is if a county decides to make a separate office that has a registrar, there's the possibility that additional collateral duties could be assigned, and maybe it's just an extra staff member that they try to take advantage of, so to speak, not in any malicious way, but duties can compile, especially given that there is a general, across the state and just in general, and perhaps the country, a lack of awareness of what election officials do when it's not election day. that could certainly lead to that sort of mission creep or scope creep, so to speak.
And thank you. if I can follow.
Please go ahead, follow.
And thank you for that. And like I say, we're not trying to, mess with the bill, but I think it does need to be clarified, at least something along the lines that we're referring to a set of statutes, not inconsistent with, XYZ rules and laws. Because the other concern on the other side is we're going to prescribe you the duties we want you to do, but we're not going to give you the duties that state law says you have to do. And then theoretically, that would fall back to the clerk, because you have all kinds of issues over, well, you got a liaison with the tribes in your county. You have to have so many polling places. You have to have this many drop boxes. You have to send out mail-in ballots or allow people to use the electronic voting. Some things that maybe a county commission doesn't agree with and wants to say, we're not going to give you those duties. In fact, we're telling you not to do those things. That's what I'm saying. It can't be inconsistent with state law. Somehow I think we just got to, unfortunately, we're in that day of age where we got to tighten these things up. I know we haven't had issues in Washoe or Clark, but it doesn't mean that we shouldn't try to clarify it as well, if that makes sense.
Assemblymember Gonzalez, thank you so much, Senator Daly, for your feedback. I think that's something that we can definitely look at. Again, this came from the interim because of the workload of the clerks. I think clerks are here that will testify that they maybe don't necessarily want to shift the roles in that way, and they're looking for other ways to alleviate the duties, but we will definitely take that into consideration. Obviously, we would want the clerk's offices and offices of registrars to be consistent throughout the state while acknowledging that they may have different needs in those different counties. So thank you.
Understood, and I know I have another bill where we're trying to do some stuff when we get it onto your guys' side that says, hey, you have these duties, they're in the law, or they're gonna be in regulation, or they're in regulation, and you have to perform them in a timely fashion. Similar to this, so the clerks and all that stuff have these duties that they're supposed to do and are responsible. I think if we're doing this, really setting the duties, or it's in the statute, so there's gotta be some parameter on now they can set, other duties assigned, I guess there's some room in there for that. But the duties they give them can't be inconsistent with their existing election responsibilities, right? And that's all I'm kind of looking for. And obviously the Secretary of State's, that's within their wheelhouse. They're going to be able to point us that these are all the sections you need to reference to or whatever it might be. Might add a page or two to your bill, but I think it'll be worth it.
Thank you very much. Members, any additional questions? Okay, not seeing additional questions. Thank you very much for presenting the bill. And I know you've got a lot of other hearings, so if you have time to stick around, great, but if not, I completely understand if you have to go to other hearings, other committees. We will now take testimony in support of Assembly Bill 237. If anybody wants to speak in support here in Carson City. Okay, I don't see anyone coming forward. Down in Las Vegas, anyone who wants to speak in support of Assembly Bill 237? Thank you for joining us. Please state your name for the record and proceed.
Good afternoon, Chair Orenshaw and members of the committee. My name is Priscilla Gomez. That's spelled Priscella, last name Gomez, and I'm the Democracy Manager at Silver State Voices. On behalf of Silver State Voices and the Let Nevadans Vote Coalition, I'm here in support of AB 237. Nevada currently only has 2 counties, Clark and Washoe, with a dedicated Registrar of Voters Office, or ROV. This means that for Nevada's remaining 15 counties, elections are administered by officials who juggle multiple responsibilities beyond elections. These officials are not only responsible for administering a secure, transparent, and accurate election administrators in these remaining 15 counties are responsible for a wide array of duties, including preservation of county records, clerk for the Board of County Commissioners or district courts, providing business services, marriage license, or passport services, and in some cases, duly act as the county treasurer or county recorder. The reality is clear. Nevada's election administrators are stretched thin, inadequately compensated, and lack the critical staffing need to effectively manage elections. AB 237 creates a great opportunity for us to ensure our elections are administered by a designated team of election workers whose only responsibility is protecting the vote of their county's voters. What we appreciate about this legislation is that it empowers local boards of county commissioners, those most familiar with their county's unique staffing and budgetary needs, to determine whether this approach fits their needs. We urge your support for AB 237. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I don't see anyone else down in the hearing room in Las Vegas, so broadcasting, if we could go to the phone lines in support of Assembly Bill 237.
If you'd like to testify in support of AB 237, please press *9 to take your place in the queue.
Good afternoon, Chair Orenshaw and committee members. My name is Chanel, Chanel, Casanello, Cassanello, and I'm the campaign manager at All Voting is Local Action Nevada. We're an organization that advocates for policies and legislative priorities that expand voter access to build a democracy for us all. We support AB 237, which allows any county to create a registrar of voters office. Currently, only 2 counties meet the required 100,000 population threshold to have a registrar of voters. This would give Nevada's 15 rural counties the option to also have their own registrar of voters. Throughout All Voting is Local Action's work with county officials, clerks have struggled to acquire the resources needed to administer demanding elections. Should newly eligible counties choose to create a registrar of voters office, this separation of duties and responsibilities would help alleviate the pressure that clerks face and may reduce the high turnover rate in our state. Most importantly, this bill is not a mandate. It evens out the playing field for both counties and election officials. Thank you for your time, and we urge you to support AB 237.
Thank you, Chair. The public line is open and working. There are no additional callers in support at this time.
Thank you very much. I'd like to now go to opposition to Assembly Bill 237. I'll start here in Carson City. Thank you for joining us.
Good afternoon.
Afternoon. Thank you for joining us.
Thank
Please
you.
state your name for the record and proceed.
Amy Bergens, Douglas County Clerk Treasurer, and I have already submitted written testimony that I did email this morning, and it has been attached to this agenda item. But I want to start by saying that I'm taking this bill probably personal, and I probably shouldn't. So I'm going to start with an apology that my opposition to this is the fact that it is being presented as something that the rural clerks want, and we do not. We did not ask for this, and this is not how this came about. I gave a little bit of history in the testimony that I presented this morning as to how we got here. When we came forward and presented in the interim session in February of 2024, it was an update on the VREM system. Last year was a lot of work. We implemented a new system. We were not complaining about our workload. We love our jobs. We raised our hands. We knew this was part of it. We were just giving an update as to the amount of work that we were putting in. We apologize if it came across as us complaining and wanting this separated. We believe that separating elections from the elected clerk is taking the voice away from the people. We do not feel like this is necessary to assist us in our workload. We don't understand why this is the decision that was made to bring this bill forward. as was stated, I'm the clerk treasurer. Why are we not talking about separating those two elected offices instead of separating part of my elected duties and giving it to an unelected official to run? There are other ways that workloads could be mitigated, but I'm not asking for any of those. My job is manageable. So I just want to, for the record, state that this is not on behalf of the clerks across the state. This is not something that we requested, and we appreciate the fact that you guys have the ability to make this law. However, it is not on behalf of the clerks. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your testimony, and I'm presenting some bills up in Assembly, Legislative Operations and Elections, so I'm going to hand the gavel over to Senator Daly, our Vice Chair. Thank you very much for your testimony, Clerk Bergens, and I appreciate everybody else's testimony. I'll return as quickly as I can. I just have some bills to present upstairs, so thank you very much, Vice Chair Daly, for taking over.
No worries, thank you. Proceed.
Good afternoon, and thank you. My name is Joshua Skaggs, and I'm the Legislative Director for the Nevada Republican Party, here today in opposition to AB 237. On behalf of the Nevada GOP, we oppose AB 237 because it eliminates the duties of the duly elected county clerk as the chief election official and replaces them with an appointed registrar of voters. We believe this bill will lower election integrity standards and create a position susceptible to partisan political persuasion. In our 15 rural counties, clerks are elected by the people and responsible to the voters, and the voice of the people should not be denied. We would like to highlight that the county clerks from Story, Pershing, Douglas, Lyon, and Mineral counties have submitted written testimony in opposition, which is available on Nellis. Additionally, AB 237 did not receive any Republican votes in the Assembly. Our rural counties are majority conservative and Republican, and rural voters prefer to elect their clerks directly rather than having them appointed. Please leave the elections under control of the duly elected county clerks in the counties that are less than 100,000 people, and do not silence the voices of Nevada voters. Thank you, Chair. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Daly, and members of the committee for the opportunity to provide you testimony on Assembly Bill 237. My name is Scott Hohen. I am the Carson City Clerk Recorder and Public Administrator in terms of additional duties. This bill represents a significant shift in how elections are administered in rural counties. It removes a direct line of accountability to the voters by allowing an appointed official rather than an elected county clerk to oversee elections. This undermines the principle for those responsible for our elections should be directly answerable to the public. Most of the doors I knocked on while running for office had voter roll issues, and my goal was to do a better job and be more transparent about voter roll maintenance. And it's my responsibility at the local level to do that, not the Secretary of State. Additionally, for smaller counties like Carson City, establishing a new registrar's office would impose a significant financial burden. Our operations are small. We have to rely on doing double duty. For example, my chief deputy of elections and marriage also uses the marriage staff to cover for elections and vice versa for lunch breaks and when we are busy during the election process. We are not just an elected official, but do the work necessary for all of the elections. Creating an entirely new office requires staffing, resources, infrastructure like space, and many counties like Carson aren't equipped to handle that, especially when current systems and clerks are functioning effectively right now. I urge you to vote no on AB 237. Nevada rural counties benefit from having elections administered by officials who are elected by and accountable to the people. Let's keep our elections transparent, accountable, and cost-effective. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else, either here in Las Vegas, in opposition? Seeing none, broadcast. Anybody on the phones in opposition to AB 237?
If you'd like to testify in opposition to AB 237, please press *9 to take your place in the queue.
Good afternoon. My name is Iris Stone, and I'm a Las Vegas resident. I oppose Bill AB 237. This bill would allow the County Board of Commissioners in the 15 rural counties to create the Office of Registrar of Voters to administer elections. Current law, NRS Chapter 246010 states, quote, county clerks shall be elected by the qualified electors of their respective counties. In addition, NRS 293.040 defines the clerk, quote, as the election board officer designated or assigned to make the record of the election in the roster, tally list, and challenge list in the precinct, district, or polling place in which such officer is appointed. AB 237 aims to skirt these statutes. If it is workload that we're concerned with, then a better and more straightforward solution would be to give the clerks extra budget to hire a deputy clerk to assist them with administering these elections. Elections have great consequences, and in Nevada, it is the people who elect the person responsible for administering their election, and it should remain that way. As a matter of fact, I'm a strong proponent to return to elected county clerks who administer our elections in Clark County, where I live, and Washoe County, and not to have a registrar of voters, as originally defined in NRS 244164. It is actually unlawful, in my opinion, and should be repealed. I urge you to oppose AB 237. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Broadcast, next caller.
Good afternoon. My name is Ellen Gifford, ELLEN GIFFORD. This bill allows the County Board of Commissioners to create the office of a Registrar of Voters and make appointments to that office. It states that the Registrar of Voters shall assume all of the powers and duties vested in and imposed upon the County Clerk of the county with respect to elections. NRS 246010 states that county clerks shall be elected by the qualified electors of their respective counties. Therefore, it must be Nevada voters who elect the person responsible for the powers and duties vested in and imposed upon the county clerk of the county with respect to elections. Those powers and duties are mandated to an elected position. For example, the people of Nevada elect the Secretary of State, who has mandated duties and powers. There is no process allowing the creation of another position with those same duties and powers and giving it another name. This practice must be upheld for the position of county clerks as well. Quite frankly, it's become quite clear in recent legislative sessions that the pressures experienced by county clerks is often due to the Secretary of State's imposed changes in the election process that require more of the county's time and budget without any prior input or agreement from the county clerks. Thank you.
Thank you. Broadcast, next caller, please.
The line is open and working. There are no more callers at this time.
Thank you. So at this time, we will take testimony in neutral, either here or in Las Vegas. Seeing none, broadcast, anybody on the lines for neutral?
If you'd like to testify in neutral for AB 237, please press *9 to take your place in the queue. Sir, there are no callers wishing to testify in neutral at this time.
Thank you. We can invite the sponsor back up for any closing remarks.
Thank you so much, Senator. I just want to reiterate that this is permissive and enabling language for the county commissioners to decide. So just like folks elect all folks at local government that we trust to make the best decisions for that local government, this would do the exact same. So if the county commissioners feel that this is something that they don't want to do, they don't have to do that. Again, this was something that came out of the interim committee. And I think those are my closing remarks.
And thank you, and I was going to point that out if you didn't, that it's permissive, and elected officials, county commissioners, would be making that choice. And the process to make the changes that we're proposing here is called the legislative process, which is the process that we're engaging in now. We're having that discussion on if this is the policy that would allow county commissioners to go forward. So thank you very much. With that, we will close the hearing on Assembly Bill 237, and I'm hoping you'll get with the Secretary of State on a couple of those issues. Thank you.
Oh, I think I'm the next bill too.
You're the next, yeah. No worries, no worries. Hang tight. So we'll close the hearing on AB 237, and we'll open the hearing on Assembly Bill 262. Please proceed when you're ready.
Thank you so much, Vice Chair, members of the committee. For the record, my name is Cecilia Gonzalez, representing Assembly District 16 in Clark County. Assembly Bill 262 is also a recommendation from the Joint Interim Standing Committee on Legislative Operations and Elections, which again, I had the pleasure of serving alongside several of my colleagues. During the interim, we heard from several I just want to make sure I was on the right bill. During the interim, we heard from several county clerks in the Office of the Secretary of State about the challenges in recruiting temporary election staff. This bill addresses some of those concerns and aims to increase the number of election workers for our future elections. This bill has two primary changes. First, it allows poll workers to serve as volunteer poll workers without pay. This includes student trainees, voting board officers, counting board officers, and election board officers. This bill does not require poll workers to work without pay. They are still entitled to their compensation for their hard work. However, it simply provides an option for poll workers to elect not to receive compensation if, for example, they are living on a fixed income or they're worried about additional income affecting their tax bracket. Retirees account for a large percentage of poll worker positions across the state. They are the ideal candidate because they have the time and flexibility to work an irregular schedule. However, many of them lived on a fixed income and do not want the supplemental income to subject them to higher taxes. Assembly Bill 262 seeks to encourage more retirees to apply and become poll workers by allowing them to opt out of compensation. The option to work as a volunteer poll worker may also benefit high school and college students who need volunteer hours to satisfy requirements of their graduation or other programs, for example, the National Honor Society. Again, the option to work as a volunteer poll worker without pay is just that, an option. Second, AB 262 repeals provisions prohibiting a person convicted of a felony involving theft or fraud from serving as a field registrar or working at a voter registration agency. This change is in line with other laws that restore a person's civil rights once they've paid their debt to society. In Nevada, convicted felons who have completed their sentences and are released from prison or discharged from probation or parole already have their rights to vote restored, as well as their right to serve on a jury. This bill also restores their right to work as a field of registrar or for a voter of register agency if their felony conviction involved theft or fraud. And lastly, I would like to mention that this bill also amends the Las Vegas City Charter, the Airport Authority Act for Battle Mountain, and the Airport Authority Act for Carson City to make conforming changes to allow an officer appointed for certain elections to also be able to be chosen to work as a volunteer without pay. And with that, I'll take any questions.
Thank you for the presentation. Committee, any questions on the bill? Nope, no questions. I don't believe I have any questions. Read the bill, seems pretty clear. So with that, we want to step back. We'll take testimony either here or in Las Vegas in support of Assembly Bill 262. I see someone coming forward in Las Vegas, so we'll go to Clark County first. Proceed when you're ready. And then
Good afternoon, Chair Orenshaw, members of the committee. For the record, my name is Priscilla Gomez. That's Priscella, last name Gomez, and I'm the Democracy Manager at Silver State Voices. I'm here to testify in strong support of AB 262 on behalf of my organization and the Let Nevadans Vote Coalition. Nevada's persistent shortage of election workers poses a threat to equitable access to the ballot box. AB 262 offers a practical and impactful policy solution by expanding pathways for community members to serve as election workers, strengthening our democracy process and ensuring accessible, well-run elections across the state. A A significant percentage of poll workers are retirees, and countless retirees are former government employees within our state, many of whom likely receive PERS retirement benefits. Even though these positions are temporary and considered a form of paid volunteerism, poll workers are still technically employed by the state. As a result, our PERS enrolled retired election workers are limited by how long they can work before they risk losing their hard-earned retirement benefits. Thus, even if they are interested and available to work for multiple election cycles in 1 year, they're often limited in the number of shifts they can work, ultimately requiring further poll worker recruitment efforts regardless of the interest pool. Allowing election workers the option to serve as unpaid volunteers would safeguard retiree benefits while promoting greater institutional knowledge and continuing among those administering our elections. Additionally, we also commend that AB 262 expands employment opportunities at voter registration agencies and for field registrar positions by removing the prohibitions against previously incarcerated applicants at SSV. We have worked with many formerly incarcerated members who are eager to contribute to the civic engagement process by registering their community members to vote, but unfortunately are unable to do so. This policy change recognizes the importance of second chances and advances equitable reintegration by aligning employment opportunities for those that would like to be
We're at our 2
civically.
minutes, if you can
Thank you,
wrap
and
up
we
if
urge
you're
your
almost,
support.
if you're almost done. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Carson City.
Good afternoon, committee members. My name is Piper Heath, that's spelled Piperheath, and I'm with Strategies 360 today, representing Campaign Legal Center. I urge you to support AB 262, a bill that removes the unnecessary and undemocratic prohibition on certain returning citizens being able to serve as field registrars or employees of voter registration agencies. Under current Nevada law, people with past felony convictions for theft and fraud are prohibited from being appointed as field registrars or from being employed at voter registration agencies. This is true even where the returning citizens can vote themselves and where they have long since served their sentences. This outdated and discriminatory practice works to exclude these citizens by preventing them from engaging with voters in their own communities through voter registration. To combat this, AB 262 will create a simple, bright-line rule that everyone, regardless of their past, can participate in voter registration. I strongly urge you to support this bill so that we can move Nevada forward as a state that does not restrict its citizens' full and complete participation in the democratic process. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Seeing no other in-person testimony in support, broadcast, is there anyone on the phone lines in support of AB 262?
If you'd like to testify in support of AB 262, please press *9 now to take your place in the queue. Caller with the last 3 digits. Thank you. I'm sorry to interrupt. Please go ahead.
Good afternoon, Chair and members of the committee. My name is Janina Baldovino. For the record, it is spelled JANINABALDOVINO, and I'm here on behalf of One API Nevada to express my support for AB 262. One API Nevada is a grassroots nonprofit advocating for policies empowering everyday Asian American, Native Hawaiian, and Pacific Islander Nevadans. AB 262 takes a thoughtful and inclusive step towards strengthening our election system. First, it allows appointed election officers and trainees the option to serve as volunteers in their free time, something many community-minded individuals have long asked for. This flexibility honors civic spirit and can expand our pool of available poll workers. More importantly, the bill eliminates outdated prohibitions on individuals with past felony convictions involving theft or fraud from participating in certain voter registration roles. By doing so, AB 262 embraces second chances and recognizes that a person's past should not disqualify them forever from contributing to our democracy. especially if they've paid their debt to society and seek a path forward through community service. Thank you.
Thank you. Broadcast, next caller.
Good afternoon. My name is Chanel, Chanel Casanello, Cassanello, and I am the campaign manager at All Voting is Local Action Nevada, an organization that advocates for policies and legislative priorities that expand voter access. One key aspect of AB 262 is it would allow the option to volunteer as an election worker. Through our work with the statewide election protection program, we have met many poll workers, many of whom are retired and passionate about civic engagement. They have expressed that they would rather volunteer their time, so we have heard about this issue as well. We also support removing restrictions placed on people with felony convictions who wish to work for voter registration organizations or serve as field registrars. These individuals have served their time, are reintegrating into society, and should be allowed to engage civically on a higher level if they choose. They should not continue to face barriers that prevent them from participating in civic life. Lastly, our state faces a chronic shortage of poll workers who are essential to functional democracy. It's crucial that we make the process of becoming a poll worker as accessible and open as possible. For these reasons, we urge you to support AB 262. Thank you.
Thank you. Broadcast, next caller.
If you have recently joined and would like to testify in support of AB 262, please press *9 to take your place in the queue. Chair, the public line is open and working. There are no callers at this time.
Thank you. So now we will move to testimony in opposition, either here or in Las Vegas. Seeing no one come forward, broadcast, anybody on the lines in opposition to Assembly Bill 262.
You'd like to testify in opposition to AB 262, please press *9 to take your place in the queue.
Good afternoon. This is Iris Stone again, resident in Las Vegas, Nevada. AB 262 reverses the existing prohibition and penalty for convicted felons to work in voter registration agencies. It does not mention that the felon has completed their sentence in this particular text. Therefore, I assume that they have not. In that case, it's under those assumptions that I make this opposition. Voter registration agencies encompass the DMV and any other agency that provides public assistance as designated by the Secretary of State, for example, a Social Security office. Are jails considered public assistance agencies now, or will the prisoner be bused to one of these agencies so she or he can register voters? It also reverses the prohibition for felons to be field registrars. The current statute carries a $5,000 penalty. Are we possibly talking about convicted felons going in the community to register voters? That's what field registrars usually do. What could possibly be the motivation to reverse this existing law? What if the prisoner is not a U.S. citizen? Or what if they are an illegal alien? Will she or he be allowed to register voters? This change will definitely erode confidence in our elections. This is not how we want elections operations to evolve. I urge you to withdraw AB 262. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Broadcast, any other callers?
Good afternoon again. My name is Ellen Gifford. This bill proposes the removal of at least 2 laws that protect the voter registration process from possible fraud by convicted felons. The motivation for such removals is questionable, to say the least. Additionally, this may contradict United States federal code and therefore be unconstitutional. Federal code addresses the implementation of voter registration agencies, stating that each state and the Secretary of Defense shall jointly develop and implement the procedures for persons to apply to register to vote at a voter registration agency. Is the Secretary of Defense aware of these proposals? NRS 293504, Section 5 confirms that the Secretary of State shall cooperate with the Secretary of Defense to develop and carry out procedures to enable persons in this state to apply to pre-register or register to vote at recruitment offices of the United States Armed Forces, which serves as a voter registration agency. This bill should move no further until cooperation with the Secretary of Defense has been fulfilled and it has been determined whether or not its intent is unconstitutional. Thank you.
Thank you. Broadcast, next caller.
Hello, I hope you can hear me. CYRUSHOJJATY. I stand in opposition. I'm very concerned about this bill. I will ditto some of the previous comments made. And by the way, as of now, this bill had no votes from both parties. So that's another issue I have in mind. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Broadcast, next caller.
The public line is open and working, but there are no more callers at this time.
Thank you. With that, we will move to testimony in the neutral position on Assembly Bill 262, either here or in Clark County. Seeing no one coming forward, broadcast, is there anybody on the phones in neutral for AB 262?
The public line is open and working. There are no callers at this time.
Thank you. With that, we would invite the sponsor back up. If any closing remarks? No, none. Very good. So with that, we will close the hearing on Assembly Bill 262. Thank you. And we'll now move to the last item on our agenda for public comment. So do we have anybody wishing to give public comment either here or in Las Vegas? Seeing no one come forward, broadcast, anybody on the phone wishing to give public comment?
Public line is open and working. There are no callers at this time.
Thank you. So with that, we will close public comment. Seeing no other business before the committee at this time, we are adjourned.